Good evening, folks. This is Andy Pedraza with Special Effects Academy. We're on the start of the week session in the Forex trading room for March 7th of 2021. My apologies for not doing a live session this week. I had a conflict and thus you're only going to be getting a recording. Of course, if you do have any questions about anything I cover in the presentation, feel free to reach out, email me at trader@specialeffectsacademy.com. I'll be happy to answer any questions. With that being said, we will be going through our usual agenda, a look at the prior week's results, our currency strength meter for the week, fundamental announcements scheduled, a look at the major pairs on the daily charts, setups we see in progress, and a few words in conclusion. Starting with the ledger, we did have a couple of trades close against us on the long term, and that was a very hard hit to the balance. So we are significantly down. That said, we also have trades open that are starting to carry profits. So I'm pretty sure we're heading back in the right direction, but we did take a hit this week on two trades, and these were the USD Swiss and USD JPY. Where we were short, and the dollar this week last week rather, uncharacteristically went into strength and did hit our stop losses, took us out on both trades. We have entered the market in the opposite direction now, and we're starting to pile up gains. Again, these things happen. This is real trading. So unfortunately, you can't get sanitized. It is what it is. But there's your explanation. And of course, as I said, if you look at the bottom, we are in the USD Swiss and USD JPY in the opposite direction, same lot size. And as I said, starting to carry profit. So I'm pretty sure all or most of that loss is going to be recovered pretty quick. Euro New Zealand was at close to break even after being significantly negative throughout last week. And Pound Aussie has also come back. Actually, we closed out Pound Aussie. I'm sorry. So that was actually a winning trade. So the three trades open, Euro New Zealand, USD Swiss, USD JPY are starting to look good. On the intermediate, not much change. We haven't really done much on this account other than keep our trades open with the Euro JPY, Euro Swiss. Kiwi dollar was a late entry as we saw the dollar strength coming into the market. We started shorting the Kiwi dollar, seeing as this is one of the pairs that have moved the most aggressively against the US dollar in the past few months. So we'll see where that takes us. And the short-term ledger also took a hit, pretty much on the same reasons. We had some turnarounds in the market, and one of them was the Euro Swiss, and we actually went in the opposite direction. We're now long, and well, we'll have to wait and see what that gives us. Notes and opportunities for improvement. As mentioned, we had two large losses on the long-term account, and we're also carrying open trades on this account, which are starting to show profit. Continued bullish outlook on the pound for the market, USD moving into strength, as I've just said, and the yen, for whatever reason, continues dropping. This is one of the more astounding things happening right now. The yen losing strength for no known reason at all, but as I will cover later, we don't argue with the market. We just trade it in whatever direction it happens to be going. Relative strength meter for the last week, as we can see, we had the US dollar gaining significant strength, the Canadian gaining even more, with the big losers being the Swiss and the yen. The Australian gained a little bit, not much. It was coming off of a down week, so it regained a little bit. The euro lost to some degree, and the pound and the Kiwi were relatively flat. Fundamental announcements scheduled for this week. We have several, or rather a couple of interest rate decisions. Wednesday morning, the Bank of Canada. Thursday morning, the European Central Bank. And on Friday, we have the change in employment out of Canada. Those three will be the ones to be traded live, and we will, of course, be sending that schedule out with this summary very shortly. With that, we move on to the charts. We have commodities. Oil continues making higher highs. It's now breaking above $65 a barrel. Quite impressive when just at the end of last year, in November, we were at 35. So that is a $30 gain in just, well, 4.5 months. A $30 gain is quite impressive, especially since it had been sideways since all the way back in May of last year. So oil continuing to gain. On the currencies, as we can see, and I've mentioned this a few times during these first charts and introductions and all that, that the dollar gained significant strength last week, and you can see that playing out against the euro. So it has broken through a couple of levels of support and is now, well, there's no telling where it's going to go. As I said before, the dollar is moving into strength, and at this point, we have to trade in that direction very cautiously. I still expect that to turn around at some point, but for now, the market has fallen in love with the dollar again. Pound dollar, same thing, a test of support, not as deep as the euro dollar. As we can see, the pound dollar has not broken any levels of support yet, but certainly heading in that direction. USD/JPY never really moved against the dollar. It's been moving against the yen since back in late December, early January. That has not stopped. It's just been a complete rout for the yen against the dollar. Indeed, against all the other crosses, the yen weakening substantially. You also note on these charts that I did do a cleanup. If you compare them to the charts from the prior weeks, I removed a lot of trend lines that were no longer useful, support lines that were also too far in the past to bother with right now. So I did do a little bit of updating and cleanup of the charts to give us a cleaner slate from which to work with. So anyway, USD/JPY at this point going up, up, up and away, and we're not going to fight that after last week's breakout. We have to start trading it up, and that's what we're doing. USD Canadian is unlike the other ones. Well, I should say it did lose ground to the dollar, but not as much. It was more of a sideways week than anything else, and is still below resistance, both the Ichimoku cloud, the Kumo, as well as that dropping trend line. It's still below, or at least it ended the week below. We'll have to see what the new week brings us. But for now, it's still maintaining its strength against the US dollar. USD Swiss, another one that's up, up, up and away. It's at the next level of resistance from where it was before, trying to break out of a sideways channel it inhabited for a long time, from back in July of last year through November, after which it just broke down and now is returning to that sideways channel and not stopping for a breather. It just looks like it's going to crash right out at the top. Aussie dollar, much like the euro dollar, is breaking support, so it is looking like a bearish breakout. The first time this trend line has been broken in quite a while, so we'll have to definitely take that into account and play it accordingly. For now, I'm not trading the Aussie dollar, but that may change depending how this week begins. Kiwi dollar, same thing, breaking a long-running trend line for the first time. We'll have to see how the week begins and also trade that accordingly. Interestingly, it did hit the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud, the Kumo, and bounced right off of it on Friday. So very interesting to see how the Kiwi against the dollar begins the week. That is it for the dollar pairs. Aussie Canadian, it is now looking for a support test, both the bottom of the Kumo as well as that next level of horizontal support. Still stuck in a very, very long wedge. We'll have to see which way it breaks. We were looking at a breakout at the top, but obviously that failed a week before last. And now we'll have to see if it's going to give us a trip towards the bottom. The Australian is weakening. I mentioned it's having a rough time, though it did manage to maintain strength. It couldn't against the Canadian. The Canadian was gaining even more than the Aussie last week, and you can see that play out in this chart. Euro Swiss also breaking resistance at the top. So it not only broke out of its previous sideways channel, it crossed to the next level and kept going. It is testing support on Friday, and so far it was holding. Another one where it will be interesting to see how it kicks off the week. We're in this trade long at this point. We reversed our position. Euro pound, very close to the bottommost level of support on the chart. Didn't quite manage to break it the week before last, just bounced right off and started going up, but then turned around and is heading towards that support for yet another test. Another one that will be interesting to watch as the week begins. Euro JPY at the very top of the chart looks like it's showing no signs of going down, but also it's having trouble crossing that final level of resistance at the top, almost at the 130. So we'll have to wait and see what happens, but this is an imminent breakout. If it does cross the top, we're going to have to go in long. I think actually we are trading on one of the accounts. We're already trading this, but again, we'll see what it ends up happening as the week begins. Euro Canadian hit the bottommost level of support last week, breaking out of the diagonal channel it has been in since back in July of last year. It was only 2 candles, so Thursday and Friday was both the breakout and the continuation. We'll have to see if this can maintain itself. As mentioned before, the Canadian gaining strength, but the euro is no slouch either. So this might return to the channel, might keep going. We'll take a look at whatever happens and trade that accordingly. Another very interesting chart. Pound JPY still toying at the top of the chart, showing no weakness. It's just angling its way up, but still unable to cross that final level of horizontal resistance. We'll see what the new week brings us. Aussie JPY, same thing at the very top of the chart. And again, you'll see this on all the yen pairs, except the USD JPY is nowhere near the top. And again, that's dollar weakness more than anything else. But the yen on all the other crosses seems to be just at its extreme. Whether that resistance is going to hold or not, your guess is as good as mine. But we'll wait to see what happens. And if it does break out bullish, we will trade it. Euro New Zealand, and we're short on this pair already, and we're looking for a continuation of that very nice trend line coming all the way from the top and in the past. And it has one level of support that it already broke the week before. Before last week, it went back above it, but we're still looking at a break and a continuation, and that is the direction we're trading it. Pound Canadian hit the top a couple of weeks back and bounced back down and has been bearish ever since. Went back into, well, I guess the middle of the 2 trend lines, the inner and outer, and is now just slightly above the Ichimoku cloud, which would be the next level of support it will hit if it continues going down. Again, the Canadian gaining strength, but the pound is not losing strength either. So this is going to be a fight against 2 currencies that are gaining strength at the same time. Not my preferred kind of trade. I prefer weak against strong or strong against weak. Strong against strong and weak against weak is not a good use of our margin. Pound Swiss, another one at the very topmost level of resistance, hit it, bounced off, and ended Friday slightly below, but still well above where it started the week. So definitely a good week for the Pound Swiss, but it failed to breach the very top. And last but not least, the Pound Aussie recovering yet again, very close to its most recent high, but did slide back on Friday to just below that trend line that's coming from all the way from back whenever. And we're still looking at the potential, especially if the Aussie continues to lose strength, for this one to shoot towards the top. We're not trading it on any of the copy traded accounts yet, but that will change if we see anything worth having here. And that is it for the chart setups we see in progress, and probably not news to you guys since I already mentioned this most of this during the presentation. We have the pound at a very strong level. It's at a 3-year high and still trying to rise. The dollar is starting to regain strength, very surprisingly, but I'm not too convinced that this isn't a dead cat bounce. So be very careful trading the dollar into strength because that may change at the flip of a coin. The Australian dollar struggling to maintain strength. And my question is, has it played itself out? We're going on about 2 years of Aussie dollar recovery. And that was coming off of another multi-year period of Aussie weakness. And, you know, it may have played itself out. We'll have to see what happens. If it does start moving in the opposite direction, it will give us some brilliant opportunities. But I'm not too convinced that the Australian is ready to just roll over and play dead. So we'll keep tracking that and trade it depending on whatever it does. The yen, as mentioned, growing weaker. No explanation. It just is. And the Canadian pairs, they continue to move bullish. And a large part of that is the recovery in oil prices mentioned. $30 in about 4 months. So that is a huge move for oil. And the Canadian dollar is strongly correlated with oil price. But it is moving in fits and starts. So it's not out of the woods yet, but it does continue to maintain ground and get stronger. As I said, not in a straight line, very much in a zigzag and retracements all over the place. But in general, week over week, month over month, gaining strength. And last but not least, a few parting words. And I said it before, and I made this the parting words here. The market is liking the dollar again. For whatever reasons, the market started buying the dollar aggressively after weeks of weakness. Markets are not rational, so don't read too much into this move. But that said, it looks like it's going to be dollar strength until this current upswing plays out. So we've reversed our trades. We're trading into dollar strength now. We'll start protecting profit very soon as it starts piling up. And last but not least, the lesson is we do not fight the market. We trade in the market's direction. So take that to heart. It doesn't matter whether you're right or wrong. It's all about making money over time. That is it for us this session. I will not ask if there are any comments or questions since I am not doing this live for the first time in a while. And again, my apologies for that. But if you do have any questions, do feel free to contact me by email. I'll be happy to provide an answer. And that's going to be it for me this week. Thank you very much, folks. I will see you guys tomorrow, Monday, in our regular evening session for those of you who are subscribers. Thanks a lot. Talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.